Grandpas pull off the biggest jewelry heist ever.
Crime is never a laughing matter. Hatton Garden Vault in the heart of London held hundreds of safe deposit boxes full of jewellery, cash and other treasure. It was said to be...
They seem like some bad boys, to be honest.
Bad grandpas proved that boast a lie.
This sounds
They
cute.
are perhaps the most unlikely gang in criminal history. A white van pulls up in the diamond centre of London, Hatton Garden, and parks outside the Hatton Garden Safe Deposit Company. What happens next will stun the nation.
Better be like something out of GTA RP. I want to see a crazy plan. Hostages being taken.
They're always so
this is it. This is Hatton Garden. Hatton Garden
Looks
has
like
been
shit.
London's diamond and jewellery district for centuries. According to criminologist Professor Dick Hobbs, was considered
Dick Hobbs, eh?
When I look around here,
Scary name.
It's just wall-to-wall jewellery shops.
Oh shit!
You've come.
Thanks for that fat raid,
The
Oda.
door of
That's
day.
super fucking
Hobbs,
sweet. Thank you for that. Hope you had a great fucking stream. Thank you, Oda. Welcome, welcome. This is about some old geriatric dudes that robbed a jewelry store or some shit, I don't know.
Once one of London's most feared armed robbers, Bobby went straight years ago and now runs a charity for ex-prisoners.
Oh, that's
But
so
that
wholesome.
doesn't-
It better get crazy, because right now I'm underwhelmed. There's
And
just some
you
old
know,
fucking dudes.
If you go for it,
Literally
and
just
if you
watching these
touch it,
prunes do
you're then
nothing.
in the annals of crime as a master at your game.
Skip to the
That is
5-minute mark.
6-year-old Brian Reeder, who turned up at the robbery by bus using his pensioner pass.
Hey, Brian. I gotta be
75
honest. I
sub-colors.
wouldn't feel super confident having this guy by my side. It doesn't seem like he knows where he is anymore. To be like, this just doesn't seem like a safe one. I feel like I'd at least aim a little younger, like maybe late 60s. I think he's a little too far gone.
Terry Perkins, 67, who was taking 29 pills a day for
Jesus
various ailments.
Christ. What?
And a mystery man named Basil, who has never been caught and may have been the heist's mastermind.
That's fucking awesome.
When you saw
Okay.
who was involved,
That's cute.
they spent 3 years meticulously planning the heist, and each had a particular role. They studiously watched YouTube to learn how to operate a massive drill to breach the
So
vault's
YouTube
thick
can turn you into a
concrete.
criminal, eh? Okay, okay. So
Basil
Hitman
has
style,
somehow
disguise.
gained access
I
to
like
the
it.
building and opens a fire escape door to a side street. Using wheelie bins, the gang unload their tools. Inside, Basil disables CCTV.
Oh, what an
cameras
asshole.
and
Let me
the alarm
watch.
system. But not entirely.
Oh, good.
An alert is sent to the building's security company, but a security guard who checks the building reports seeing nothing suspicious.
Oh, that guy should be fired.
Nor did
Jesus Christ.
75-year-old John Kenny Collins, who was positioned across the road. He was the lookout man,
yeah.
and he fell asleep.
Yeah, Kenny Collins fell asleep. Well, when you're that age, you do need your sleep, and he wasn't a well man. So
Yeah.
he did apparently.
They
fall
should have
asleep.
expected that, to be honest. Give him some fucking
Floors
G Fuel or
down,
something. I don't know, man. They should have
unaware,
planned for that.
The gang jemmies through 2 metal gates in an underground corridor.
Did they even go to jail?
What are they feeling? Are they nervous?
Everyone's hyped up, right?
Well, everyone except the lookout guy who fell asleep.
Also, there's a cheekiness to it.
Oh, that's so British. The
We're gonna do
cheekiness
best
to
one
it, eh?
ever.
Sounds strange, but it takes a fair bit of courage to do what they did. You know, they're risking.
You don't fucking say.
Their liberty.
No, it's a lot
After
worse to
3
do it
hours
young.
of drilling, the vault wall is penetrated.
They're already old as
But for
fuck.
the gang, it's a disaster. Stopping their entry, the solid back of the still safe deposit cabinet, bolted to the floor and ceiling and immovable.
And to old villains like this, the prize is everything.
Oh, true, yeah, it's a lot of
Prize is
money.
absolutely everything.
Do I carry on? Do I walk away? It's a make or break thing there.
For the oldest of the gang,
Thanks for your coolest dog
76-year-old
in prime
Brian
nut
Reeder,
butt.
the stress is too much. He doesn't come back. But for the
Boo,
others,
Brian,
the
coward,
lure of the
boo.
prize is too tempting. Next day, buy themselves a massive hydraulic ram.
Wow.
Then, late Easter Saturday night, Basil again lets the gang into the building. and with a huge crack, the safe deposit cabinet topples.
Nice.
What would that moment
The boys.
Be like Christmas. And they all sparkle. It would be absolute Christmas. They'd be rocking and rolling inside, thinking, we've done it.
How did Moist Esports go? We got 2 into the top 8. Both our players made top 8. It was big.
And spilling out their treasures of cash, jewels, gold. Mysteriously, they only break into 73 of the 996 safe deposit boxes. Perhaps that was all these aged villains could carry out.
I think that. How are they going to carry 900?
They've made criminal history.
This seemed like it was extremely easy.
Hailed as Robin Hoods,
You had a public that seemed to be rooting for the bad guys.
thick as thieves, but there was one big mistake.
They would not be in jail if they'd performed the same as Basil.
That's next on 60 Minutes.
Is it just because they're old? Yeah.
Central London
I'm rooting for them.
Incredibly,
because they're
the
old.
thieves were cheered by the public. They'd managed to achieve the impossible, obviously.
True, I mean, yeah, it's a
But
jewelry
then
store.
The crooks got cocky.
Damn it.
They got away with £14 million worth of
Ooh,
gold.
not a bad haul.
Bad guys. instead
Didn't this
of
get
good
turned
guys.
into a movie starring Jason Statham?
Undoubtedly, this
I have no fucking
crime
idea.
captured the public's imagination, not just in Britain, but across the world. The Robin Hoods stealing from the rich.
Livingston, Reset.
Livingston, Reset.
There's at least 2 movies made about
Everyone
them.
dreams,
Wow.
right? Even straight goer. Right? That's why we sell so many crime books. Everyone dreams about.
It's
robbing,
not that impressive
doing
though.
the
The only thing
heist.
impressive about it is that they're
No,
old as
it's
fuck.
fan-
Other than that though, it seems like it was really,
This was
really
a
easy.
heist that seemed so well planned. These old school crims failed to remember they were working in a new age world where just about every square inch of central London is covered with a CCTV camera. The joint in his distinctive Mercedes-Benz, not once, not twice, but 5 times, it proved to be a massive error.
Ooh.
Using CCTV and number plate recognition technology, police traced that white Mercedes to John Collins.
Yeah, they needed a
In
hacker in
days,
the group.
Collins led them to Reader, and then the rest of the gang. Hidden cameras recorded them all wherever they met.
Oh.
Cafes and pubs, reliving their crime, boasting about it to each other, utterly unaware that everything they said, they were saying to Peter Spindler's detectives.
They use Audacity? You're telling me the detectives in Britain use a free audio program?
What's the use? You see, it's there. You've done the biggest one ever. What's the use of doing the biggest one ever if you can't tell no one about it? They don't just
True,
want to be
what a waste.
a thief. They want to be the one who everyone knows is the best thief.
Alright, that's probably enough. I don't really feel like finishing it. They all get caught except for Basil. Good for them though. They were old and they said, fuck it. We're old. Let's steal some money. Yeah, Basil really did carry the team. Though he did fuck up by leaving the CCTV cameras on. When that was like his main job. It's just they never caught him. So I don't know what happened. He probably just left Britain. New York's worst subway station. This?
Because if there's one thing New Yorkers love to complain about, it's the subway. We're going to be joined by a
For good
native
reason,
New
it
Yorker
sucks.
to get his take on this as well. Chambers Street Station. Looks like a movie set right now. I don't know for what. What kind of movie can we put here?
I don't know. A shitty movie?
We're trying to figure this out, but we don't know. Yeah,
This looks like New York, to be honest.
That one's breaking.
What makes this one worse than all the other subways? Looks about
Yeah,
the same.
imagine this was your very first subway ride in New York City. Because not all the stations are this bad.
I think this station is so ugly that the rats don't even want to be here.
Then that would be a pretty good deterrent.
And there's even water on the platform.
It's
like,
not nearly as
leaking
bad as I
from
would have
places.
expected, to be
There's
honest.
also vodka bottles.
Oh, I just got some weird water dripping on my head. This
It's
a
sewage.
tripping hazard because there's all this water here. You don't want to slip and fall into
It's
the
New York.
traps.
We're
There
gonna
is
need
no
to
water,
disinfect
just
action kit out.
sewage. Hey, the subway looks nice. Look at that. Scariest bridge in America.
This may be the scariest bridge in America. What makes it so terrifying to cross?
Disagreed. No jump
First off,
scares.
It's really high. Carolyn Casey is so afraid, She actually hires a guy to do the driving for her.
Oh, what?
For $25, Bay Bridge Driveovers takes Carolyn in her own car over the bridge.
That sounds awfully risky.
How many times a day do you do this, Alex?
Today, this is number 19.
This is 19?
Holy shit.
Carolyn, what is it about coming across this bridge? Like,
I just want him to stop looking at you in the rearview mirror.
even in the passenger seat, Carolyn is
Why?
still apprehensive.
Yeah, it's not great, no.
It's not great.
I mean, bridges can absolutely be scary,
What is
though.
the design of this bridge, do you think, that freaks so many
It's like
people out?
functionally obsolete. Look at it. There's no emergency pull off.
And those barricades are only about
True.
4 feet
That's
tall.
right. A truck went over it.
Trying to hypnotize me, but it doesn't work for you? No, it does not work whatsoever.
And
Yeah,
he
that's
can't get out
hypnotism
of his
for you.
head the image from 1940 of a bridge in Tacoma, Washington, literally blowing in the wind and then crashing to the water below.
Fuck, that looks nuts.
Yeah, that video, the old school video.
We just made it across the bridge. How do you feel?
I feel much better.
Is that the only way to get there? Like, there's not like another less scary bridge? Nice. Passenger seat equals safe. Yeah, everyone knows that when you're on a bridge, the passenger seat's the safest one to be in. There is about 50 miles away. Ah. The Island of Dr Maro, the most disastrous movie ever made. I've never heard of the movie. Is it good?
Whether it's studio interference, clashing egos on set, logistical problems, incompetent directors, spiraling budgets, or scripts that
Just looking at this
don't work
movie is
and
making
have
me
to be
uncomfortable.
hastily rewritten on the fly, the possibilities to derail a production are practically endless. A movie that will forever live in infamy as one of the most difficult,
enough. I've never heard of it. I
and
love shit movies.
unintentionally hilarious disasters ever committed to film. And that movie is The Island of Dr Maro. It's legitimately one of the worst
I need to look it up.
movies
Let me
I've
see.
ever...
I've never heard of this. I have literally heard of every dog shit movie ever made, even movies that no one's ever seen, like Let's Be Evil. And I've never heard this. This must be very old. It's not very old. It's 1996. Which I guess is actually kind of old now, which is really upsetting. Oh, Val Kilmer's in this piece of shit. Wait, Marlon Brando? Okay. I've never heard of this thing.
Seen in my entire life. But in this case, what went on behind the scenes of this film is even more interesting than the turd which made it onto cinemas in 1996.
I'm not
Disaster
watching it.
unfolding.
I'll watch this review
So
of it.
grab your pint of tequila and let us journey together into the heart of darkness. The Island of Dr Maro is based off a 19th century novel by H.G. Wells about a mad scientist who fuses together humans and animals to create a race of horrifying hybrids that exhibit
Kinda like in
the
Spy Kids 2 with
characteristics of
Steve
both,
Buscemi.
but the intellect of neither. Kind of like the women from Dundee. Fuck,
I don't get
man,
the
I've
reference.
had some bad nights there, let me tell you. New Line Cinema, who eventually gave him the green light and a hefty budget of $40 million to make it work.
Not
They were even able
bad.
to get legendary actor Marlon Brando on board, mostly because his career was on the downturn and he needed a paycheck. Being able to say that you've starred in a movie opposite Marlon Brando is a pretty fucking cool thing to put on your resume.
That
And
would
by
be
the
pretty cool.
mid-90s, it was pretty obvious that particular window of opportunity was closing rapidly.
Man,
As
the
a result-
costuming, it reminds me of Sexy Beasts on A&E, where they put people into, like, the most weird costumes imaginable. Like, this one's like some kind of weird fucking Hills Have Eyes, Kid Rock kind of thing going on. Good lord.
Willis's marriage to Demi Moore was falling apart, forcing him to
Aw.
drop out so he could start a messy divorce. His replacement was none other than Val Kilmer, who
Val
already had
Kilmer.
a reputation for being one of the biggest assholes in Hollywood,
I
and
didn't
would
know
go on
that.
to cement that legacy with his behaviour on this film. In fact, his dickishness on set reached such levels that this movie basically derailed his entire career. The other big problem was that Kilmer was only willing to do the bare
True.
minimum in terms of shooting days. With no other big names willing to get involved, Rob Morrow was hastily
I don't know who
recast
that
in
is.
the main role. What's the big deal this time? Well, my sadly optimistic friend, this shit's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the Island of Dr. Moreau.
Yeah, it doesn't
The
sound
real problems
shitty yet.
began once the cameras started rolling. Just as filming kicked off in the Australian jungle, Marlon Brando's daughter suddenly passed away, forcing him to abandon the shoot to go away and deal with it. That's when Val Kilmer found out that his wife was divorcing him when she announced it on a fucking TV interview. Naturally,
that is a cool way of doing
to
it.
Get the fuck out of there, but the studio refused to release him from his contract, which left him stuck in a kind of cinematic purgatory until the film was finished. Now, a different
it helps
man
keep his
might
mind
have
off
handled
of
this
things, though, to
development
be
with
fair.
dignity. Val Kilmer, however, was not such a man, showing up late every day, refusing to learn his lines,
tier 1
bullying
guapo.
and abusing the cast and crew around him. Meanwhile, tropical storms hammered the entire area, damaging the sets and forcing more delays while they were repaired.
Well, they could definitely have
Studio
filmed
were
that for the
getting pretty
movie, I'm
nervous
sure.
about all this, and Stanley's tactic of refusing
Could've
to
used
take
it.
their calls or give them any kind of clue about what was happening didn't exactly help the situation. To the point where Rob Morrow broke down in tears and
I
begged
still don't know
the
who that
studio
is.
to release him from his contract.
Maybe he's just a very
While they were
sensitive
at
guy.
it, they also decided to release the director from a movie that was rapidly spiraling out of control. His reaction was something along the lines of, "Okay, fuck you then." In retaliation,
Is that actually what the
he shredded
director
all
looks
the-
like? I feel like this would have been a big director with this kind of crew. But I've never seen that guy in my life. I'd remember him. He's still wearing that cowboy hat. He looks like a stripper you'd hire. He recently directed Color Out of Space. Looks like a pretty trippy thing. A secluded farm is struck by a meteorite. So his career's still booming?
His production notes, scripts, and every important document that he could get his hands on. Then he promptly lost his mind, suffered a complete mental breakdown, and vanished into the Australian jungle. Okay. But what makes this thing even more awesome is that he was eventually able to
some
sneak
rock,
back
bingo,
on
and
set
prime
as an extra,
Roa.
disguised in heavy makeup, so that he could spy on the production he'd been forced out of. He even blagged his way into the rap party,
What the fuck?
just so that he could tell Val Kilmer what a shithead he'd been. The lead actress decided she'd had enough of this shit and tried to make a run for it, only to be caught at the airport in Sydney and forced to go back to the set.
How do they
Jesus
force her to
Christ,
go back?
Prisoner of war camps are easier to escape from than this movie. Anyway, with tens of millions of dollars wasted and nothing of value accomplished, John
Surely she can
Frankenheimer
just
was
void the
eventually brought
contract.
in as a replacement director on the agreement that he got complete control and a 3-picture deal of his own. Speaking of which, when Brando eventually showed up again, he immediately went to war with Val Kilmer. See, it turns out that having two awkward, prickly,
Kilmer
self-absorbed
sounds
assholes
cool.
that are difficult to work with, starring opposite each other, isn't a recipe for success. Kilmer because he was locked into a contract he desperately wanted out
Does he
of,
do
and
anything
Brando
anymore, Val
because
Kilmer?
He was
Is he actually
guaranteed
just
to get paid no matter how little work
gone?
he actually did. They were so fucking petty that neither man was willing to leave his makeup trailer before the other, leaving the cast and crew waiting for hours in the searing tropical heat. Kilmer
Oh my God, there's still
that
4
as soon
minutes.
as he filmed his last scene, he brought in security men to escort him off set, told him to fuck off and never come near him again. Brando, meanwhile, couldn't be arsed learning his lines and relied on a concealed microphone to get him through his scenes, which was just fine until it started picking up transmissions on local police frequencies. He gave so little of a shit that he'd actually just repeat them as if they were lines from the script.
That's fucking awesome.
He also came up with the genius idea for his character to wear an ice bucket on his head because it was hot and he was morbidly obese. And because everyone was scared he'd quit the movie if they challenged him, there it stayed, in all its glory, an eternal monument to one man's bloated vanity and hubris. At the other end of the spectrum, the
That's
world's
so fucking
smallest
cool.
man
It sounds like he
even
made
got
the
a
movie
piece of
better.
action.
Good for him.
Because Marlon, the power quickly went to his head though, and he repeatedly harassed and propositioned female extras through the use of his interpreter, who also happened to be his sister. It's not often that the drinker is left speechless by something, but there you go. This movie must have been fucking wild, man. Anyway, production eventually
know about the
dragged
Fast
on
and
for
Furious
6
contracts?
agonizing
No.
months. Just imagine that for a moment if you can. 6 months stuck in the middle of the Australian jungle with a bunch of people who hate each other and are actively working to prevent the project from getting finished. Cast and crew became increasingly mutinous.
I didn't want to
as the
watch
months
this movie
dragged
now.
on. People walked off
I think it'll be
set
fucking
and never
boring.
returned for your first job, only to find yourself facing
This seems like it's getting into dangerous territory there. I haven't seen the movie, but I don't want to take the chance either. Seems like a classic, though. So does Val Kilmer really not do anything anymore? I assumed I just don't watch his movies. But it looks like he genuinely doesn't do anything anymore. Well, he's in the new Top Gun. Seems like he's doing just fine. The movie traumatized you as a kid. Yeah, it looks pretty fucking weird. The costuming looks really goofy. Buzkashi. It's the greatest sport to ever exist. Sounds like a bold claim. The sport that uses dead goats as the ball. Yeah, I probably can't watch that on Twitch. Wouldn't really want to either. Sounds fucking weird.